Blackwood Lane. A name that sends shivers down the spine of anyone who hears it. Even its name whispered tales of dread. The lane, shrouded in mist and mystery, has been the subject of countless ghost stories and local legends. The lane snaked its way through Blackwood Forest, a dense and foreboding woodland that seemed to swallow the light. It ended abruptly at the gates of Holloway House, a place where the air itself felt heavy with sorrow. The house loomed, a skeletal silhouette against the dying light. Its windows, like empty eye sockets, stared out into the encroaching darkness, as if guarding the secrets within. 50 years it stood abandoned, 50 years of whispers. The walls of Holloway House had absorbed the pain and suffering of its past inhabitants, and the very structure seemed to groan under the weight of its tragic history. They spoke of a family broken, a tragedy buried in its walls. Locals avoided the house, their fear palpable. The once grand estate had become a symbol of despair, its grandeur now a distant memory. Some said they could hear screams echoing from within. Others claimed to see ghostly figures wandering the halls at night, their faces twisted in anguish. The Holloway House was a scar on the landscape, a grim monument to forgotten horrors. It stood as a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk behind even the most beautiful facades. Olivia Carter was not like the locals. She was a journalist, her hunger for truth outweighing her fear. Olivia was drawn to the macabre, to stories that sent shivers down your spine. The story of Holloway House was tailor-made for her. She had heard the whispers, the terrified accounts, but Olivia sought evidence, not hearsay. Armed with her camera and a steely resolve, she approached the house, ready to confront the darkness within. The iron gates groaned open, their hinges protesting after years of neglect. Dust and decay greeted Olivia as she stepped inside. The air was heavy, stagnant, thick with the scent of mildew and something else, something unnameable. She moved through darkened hallways, her footsteps echoing in the silence. Each room whispered its own tale of decay and despair. Olivia felt a presence watching her, but she couldn't shake the feeling that she was not alone. As dusk fell, the house seemed to awaken. The once silent and still structure began to hum with an eerie energy, as if it had been waiting for the cover of night to come alive. The windows, dark and foreboding, now glowed with a faint, unsettling light. The air around the house grew thick with anticipation, and the shadows seemed to stretch and twist, taking on forms that played tricks on the eyes. Olivia, exploring the upper floors, heard it first. The creak of the old wooden floorboards beneath her feet was the only sound, until a faint whisper broke the silence. She paused, her flashlight casting long, wavering shadows on the walls. The house seemed to be watching her, every corner hiding secrets that were just out of reach. A whisper, faint and indistinct, coming from the shadows. It was as if the house itself was trying to communicate, its voice carried on the draught that wound through the empty rooms. Olivia strained to hear, her heart pounding in her chest. The whisper grew louder, more insistent, filling the air with a sense of urgency. She paused, holding her breath, trying to discern the source. The darkness seemed to close in around her, the walls pressing in as if the house was alive and breathing. She could feel the weight of the years of silence, the stories untold pressing down on her. The whisper was closer now, almost as if it was right next to her ear. The whisper came again, closer this time, a sibilant murmur that sent shivers crawling down her spine. It was a voice, but not one she could understand. It was filled with emotion, a mix of sorrow and anger, pleading and warning. Olivia's skin prickled with fear, her breath coming in shallow gasps as she tried to make sense of the words. Olivia felt a chill, a sudden drop in temperature, as if an unseen entity had brushed past her. The air grew colder, her breath visible in the dim light. She wrapped her arms around herself, trying to ward off the cold that seemed to seep into her very bones. The house was alive with a presence, something ancient and restless. Fear, cold and sharp, pricked at her courage. She wanted to run, to escape the oppressive atmosphere, but something held her in place. The house had a hold on her, its whispers and shadows weaving a web of fear and fascination. Olivia knew she had to uncover the secrets hidden within its walls, no matter the cost. The whispers were followed by something far more unsettling. A child's laughter, high-pitched and filled with an innocent glee that belied the oppressive atmosphere of the house. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Olivia's heart pounded in her chest. She had heard enough stories of haunted places to know that children's laughter was rarely a good sign. It was a lure, a siren song beckoning her deeper into the darkness. In the largest bedroom, amidst the decay, Olivia found a child's doll lying discarded on the floor. The room was filled with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional creak of the old house settling. Dust particles floated in the air, illuminated by the faint light seeping through the cracked window. The atmosphere was thick with a sense of abandonment and forgotten memories. Its porcelain face was cracked, one eye missing, but the remaining eye seemed to follow Olivia's every move. The doll's expression was frozen in a perpetual state of melancholy, as if it had witnessed countless sorrows over the years. Olivia couldn't shake the feeling that the doll was watching her, its gaze penetrating her very soul. She picked it up, a chill running up her arm as her fingers brushed against its cold, hard surface. The doll's weight was surprising, heavier than it looked, almost as if it were resisting her touch. Olivia's heart raced as she held the doll, a sense of dread creeping into her mind. The doll felt heavy, almost as if it were alive. Its presence was unsettling, and Olivia couldn't help but feel that it was more than just an inanimate object. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows lengthening as if the doll's very existence was drawing the darkness closer. Olivia quickly placed it back on the floor, a sense of foreboding washing over her. She took a step back, her breath coming in shallow gasps. The doll lay there, its single eye still fixed on her, as if it were waiting for something. Olivia knew she had to leave the room, but the weight of the doll's gaze held her in place for a moment longer. Finally she turned and hurried out, the sense of unease lingering long after she had left the room. As Olivia turned to leave the room, she felt it. A hand, ice-cold and skeletal, closed around her wrist. A scream caught in her throat. She whirled around, her heart pounding against her ribs. The room was empty. There was no one there. But she could still feel the lingering chill of that ghostly touch, a stark reminder that she was not alone. Olivia ran. She didn't care where she was going, only that she had to escape the suffocating presence that had gripped the house. She burst out of a room, her breath coming in ragged gasps. As she slammed the door behind her, she heard a crash. Turning back, she saw the doorknob turning, slowly, deliberately. Panic welled up inside her, then silence. The doorknob stopped turning. Olivia was never seen again. Days later, a search party found Olivia's camera smashed on the steps of Holloway House. The film was missing. The house stood defiant, its secrets intact. The whispers continued, but now they carried a new tale. The story of Olivia Carter, the journalist who dared to enter Holloway House and was never seen again. The house remained, a chilling reminder that some mysteries are better left unsolved.